only during Cinderstorm. I don't know why the fuck they just ran over here.
I can't get up
Me
there.
either.
Yeah, same, because there's a defensive field. Nice. Cool.
I have no idea why I ran there. It makes no sense whatsoever. Yo, so this is a 23 Everbloom on Tyrannical, Volcanic, Sanguine week. So we're going to start things off by pulling the Naturalist and Cultivator here, along with the Berserker that's on the right, and then we're going to go over to this other pack that has the Naturalist, Cultivator, some flowers, and this Stinger here. So the Naturalists in these pack have 2 kicks that you need for melee kicks, and the Cultivators just have 1. The Cultivator's buff or like put a small heal on something, and the Naturalist will do Choking Vines and Dancing Thorns. You just want to kick them. The Fell Stinger will poison people, and the Berserker will jump to people and then do like a Blade Storm effect, which when it finishes, it will then enrage. So, something to keep in mind here is really just get things kicked together and try not to let things get too hectic as you are blowing all your cooldowns here at the start. You notice we also did Lust. In the next pack, I'm going to grab 2 more Fell Stingers, this Naturalist and the Cultivator. There's less cooldowns available right now, so as you go through here, one thing you want to watch out for is the stacking debuff you can see on the right side of my screen. That's from the flowers. So this puts a stacking damage increase on you and also slows you. Now as a monk, we can use Tiger's Lust to actually just completely remove the stacks. Any movement speed changes will remove that as long as it takes off movement speed and parrying effects, right? And then also you want to be using Detox to help with the Fell Stinger whenever it poisons things. After that, we can do another pack here, which just has 1 Stinger and 1 Naturalist with some more flowers. And you'll notice I'll come over here and I'll grab a couple more flowers down on the left side. And when you do this pull, you do want to be careful to pull back because there is the big tree that pats, and we definitely don't want to pull that. So as you're pulling these things, just make sure we're getting kicks. Again, help with the spells on the poison. And just watch your stacks, being sure to either kite or Tiger's Lust if your stacks get too high. Now you can see I'm doing a lot of extra kiting here because it is Sanguine week. Obviously you don't want to be doing any healing, and you can see in the bottom right hand is the healing meter for this dungeon. And right now we did a pretty good job with this one as it's not showing any Sanguine healing down there, although I'm not sure. It might not just not be showing it right now. I'm not sure. Alright, so we're going to go on the right side here, pull some more flowers. The tree's in a good spot back there, so we're going to pull these flowers and go straight across and grab another Naturalist, Cultivator, and some more flowers over here. Again, 2 kicks on the Naturalist, 1 on the Cultivator. You could also use like just regular CCs like Paralyze, Leg Sweep, anything that just hard CCs will also just stop the cast. Be aware that the Menders will just keep casting if you do CC them, but if you kick them, it'll stop them from casting for a little bit. The Cultivators, however, don't recast. So with this pack, you just want to be careful of all the Sanguine here. You can see the Sanguine is showing up on the meter there, so not as good with this one because we are kind of like in this corner here, but we don't really want to leave that corner because of the padding tree. Now on the next pack, it's best to pull this 3 group together with the 2 pad over there. Unfortunately, I didn't have my kick up to pull this, and then I missed my kick on triangle, or sorry, really star, so it didn't really work out well. So we're just going to come over here as soon as it pulls. I'm just going to grab this, stop a cast with Paralyze. The Menders here, obviously you want to kick the heal on them. The other things that they cast you can just kind of let go through, but you do want to be aware of Dancing Thorns because it'll stun people, so be ready to use things like Paralyze, Leg Sweep. Don't be afraid to ring a piece here if you need it, although it is Sanguine week, so ring a piece is probably better saved for if things are standing in Sanguine. Now one of the downsides about Dragonflight compared to Shadowlands is we no longer have access to Clash, which was a really good ability that I like to use for Sanguine to get mobs out if it was like a single mob, but it's definitely not worth speccing into even on Sanguine weeks, unfortunately. So now for the next couple, we're just going to do the 3 packs together. If this was a non-Sanguine week, when I get to the 3rd pack, after things get to about half health, I would go up the hill and start pulling some of the little flowers there and pull them back into the boss and just do them with the boss. However, it is Sanguine week, and pulling those flowers would result in the boss just getting healed. So we're just going to take care of these 3 casters, do the next 3 casters, and then take care of the boss. What we normally do for our group, since we've got 2 melee, a tank, and a range kick, is we generally just put our our hunter on the Mender to kick whatever it's healing, and then we'll put our Shaman on one of the Naturalists because he's got a faster kick, and then just put me and the Warrior on the other Naturalists. And then just obviously be ready to use things like Paralyze or Stuns to, stop extra casts on the diamond marker there. Now you can see I pulled that away so Sanguine didn't drop in front, and we can just go ahead and pull this boss. Remember, with this boss, you don't want to pop any offensive cooldowns on pull because he takes more damage when he goes into intermission. So you're noticing I taunt, throw Keg Smash, get my Fire Breath on, and just kind of pull him straight into the corner. Pulling him into the corner like this is ideal because then your range players can just do like a semicircle around the boss, which sets you up really well for phase 2. Now, with the Parched Gasp that's coming, Gasp, however you say it, when it comes, the first one I like to use my Cell Brew on, and then when the second one comes, I like to Diffuse Magic it. You're normally only going to get 2 per phase, so doing it this way, you're pretty good defensively. Just make sure that you Expel Harm after your Diffuse Magic on the second one. Now, as soon as he goes and stops moving, this is where you pop all your cooldowns. You can see I'm doing my ramps, setting up everything, making sure I've got Keg Smash, and my Empowered Breath of Fire, putting down all of my brews, and then I'm just going into Exploding Keg and making sure to Spinning Crane Kick, Blackout Kick, Spinning Crane Kick. You can do either 2 Spinning Crane Kicks and then a Blackout Kick, or you can do Spinning Crane Kick, Blackout Kick, Spinning Crane Kick. Technically doing it that second way is the slightly higher DPS because you don't clip the first Spinning Crane Kick, but either way results in a high amount of damage as long as you got everything going. Now, as the balls start coming in here, just be aware, make sure that you are taunting and watching when they come up. I'm either taunting or throwing a keg to grab these as they activate. You can see on my UI, they're red when I don't have threat on them on the nameplates, and they're green once I do have threat. So as they're coming up, I'm just alternating taunting and keg smashing to get these in, and then just doing my normal rotation and just hitting stuff on the boss to go along. Now, unfortunately, Ring of Peace does not knock any of these balls back, so you can't use that to help. Damage does go onto them, but it's not worth trying to damage them. You're better off just putting damage onto the boss. Once he activates, just pull back in front. Make sure you've got threat on all the extra ads that spawned, and then you're going back in, making sure to use Cell Brew on the first tank hit. And then, again, the next one, my Diffuse Magic will be up again. And then if a third one comes, you can normally either Cell Brew it again or just use any of our other defensives like Fort Brew or Dampen Harm. But generally, the third one does just get interrupted by him going into phase. Alright, so, as you can see, with the fact that we lusted on the initial pool of the dungeon, our lust is not back up yet. So, again, if this wasn't a Sanguine week, we would have already taken care of these flowers here, but since it is Sanguine week, I didn't pull those into the boss, so just pull these flowers. Unfortunately, you don't want to jump down off the cliff up here, or, it's either going to cause them to run and pull a bunch of extra things, or it's going to cause them to snap onto a different player in your group, and we don't want that to happen. So, with this, again, I'm just being very careful of the stacks. You can see the stacks over there at 7 for me right now, and when things get bad, I can either kite like I just did there by Chi torpedoing away, or I can use my Tiger's Lust to take off the buff. Now with these, I know I'm going to be pulling more flowers on the next pack, so I chose just to kite on that one instead. Now on this pack, this is where we're going to get our first A-Bomb. The A-Bombs are the priority here because they do the most damage. It's not as bad on Tyrannical week, but it is pretty bad on Fortified weeks. So get these things collected. You just need 1 kick for the Cultivator. You can put 2 kicks on the Mender, but the only kick that really menders on the Mender is the heal. And then you just want to put full damage into this A-Bomb. Being aware of your stacks here, you can see I'm about to Tiger's Lust. I'm also moving things out of Sanguine with my ring. And then with these Berserkers, if you have the weak ore that shows, you can see on the far right of my nameplates, it shows like a cooldown there. Right as it's about to come off cooldown, you can stun the Berserker and it'll just cause him to not jump away. Now, once he does do his jump, you can see I'm going to head over to the next pack over here, which is another Berserker. It's got a Naturalist, and it's got a Cultivator, and it's got some more flowers. You can pull the other Berserker there too if you want. But again, you do want 2 kicks on the Naturalist here, you want 1 on the Cultivator, and generally with this pool that doesn't have the Abomination in it, we generally will just like put damage onto the Berserker. That way it's taken care of early, or the 2 casters. Again, just be careful about your stacks here with the flowers. That's pretty much going to be the case for the next couple mob pools that we do here. But we've got lots of range here that we can kind of come back and kite away with the Sanguine and with those flowers. Now you can see with our timing here how it works out. Our Lust is just now coming up, so I'm going to do a slightly larger pool. So I'm going to grab this Berserker here. I'm going to try to go grab the A-Bomb and Mender, as well as this Cultivator and some flowers. And again, we are going to put damage onto this A-Bomb. And I do believe we get this extra Berserker here, which is okay as well, because we've got everything going. But again, we want to make sure we're getting 2 melee kicks on the Naturalist, 1 on the Cultivator. Keep your ranged for the Menders if you have an extra, like, longer duration kick, and just blow up this A-Bomb. Now, you do want to be aware, because when the A-Bomb starts his cast, he will just stand there. So you want to make sure that you move him quick out of Sanguine so that you don't get him healing. Here you can see he does unfortunately start his cast in the Sanguine, even though it was right on the edge. Super unfortunate, but things that can hurt you a little bit there. Now, I got some unfortunate timing on my Pat here on this next group. Normally, I would do the next A-Bomb and Mender with this pack over here on the right. You'll notice that behind us, we did skip 2 Berserkers. This route, if you want to do the same route that I'm doing, basically you can leave the 2 Berserkers that are back behind us on the right and not pull those, and everything else will get you the correct percent you need. But here, unfortunately, the A-Bomb and the Mender were too far away for me to pull with this group, so we're just kind of doing them separate, and then it pats super far and gets too close to the next pack. So unfortunately, we're going to have to do those separate. Ideally, it's safe to do those with this pack, but you don't want to do double A-Bomb. That can generally lead to a wipe. So unfortunately, we lose some time here, but it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad, because you know, we want Lust to be back up for the mage boss anyways. A lot of people like to save Lust and use it on this second boss here, but as long as you have 2 melee kicks and a range kick, you can pretty much take care of these as long as you've got like a decent amount of like self-defensives to use. It ends up not being too bad. Now, this last pack of trash that I'm going to do here is 1 more Cultivator. It's got 2 Berserkers and an A-Bomb. Again, just need 1 melee kick for the Cultivator and blow up this A-Bomb. And again, just be aware that you're not stacked too hard out with people so that the Berserkers, you know, start Bladestorming on everyone. But again, you can stop those with stuns, paralyze, anything like that. So, for the next boss, the way I like to set this one up is I like to put our Enhanced Shaman on the back right mob, which is going to be the one that we're going to be killing the first of these 3 bosses, and let him kick like the regular cast. Our Warrior, our other melee, is going to kick the Toxic Bloom, and then on the mob that does like the bolts and the heal, we're going to have our ranged do the second heal cast that it casts and just let the other bolts go through, and I, as the tank, will get the first heal that Star does here. So what I like to do is just come over here, put a Keg Smash and a Fire Breath into the one marked as Star, the healer, grab the one that actually moves around, and then just pull them over to this last one that's going to be our first kill target here, marked as Skull. Now, again, the Toxic Bloom, that's what you just put 1 of your like regular melee kicks on. When he does this AoE, you just want to move away and have everyone else move away and then come back, because it'll drop on everyone. So everyone just moves away from the kill target and then you come back. As a tank, you do want to use defensives. I generally use Cell Brew, and then I'll alternate that with a different one. Now, on the second time that this happens, this times up perfectly with the healer doing its heal, so you can just come over, kick that, and then go back to the boss that you're killing. So it times up really nice, and then your ranged person can get the second heal that it does if it does it. Again, every time this happens, I am just moving away, trying to use some defensive. If you don't have a defensive, you can like Expel Harm and move out. You can see I am using the extra heal that a lot of people don't use there. with the 2 charges at a 15% heal, so sometimes I'll use that as well. Once it's dead, everyone can switch over to the healer. Some people will kill the guy who moves around because he does do a lot of AoE damage next. We found that we like to just kill the healer next, because if you kill the one that's moving around first, while he's in the middle of this part right here, where he's about to drop off, it'll just drop wherever you're at as he dies, and it can cause some issues or cause a wipe. So just to be safe, we just like to kill the caster. It's a little bit more hectic for healers sometimes, but it does generally result in a cleaner overall fight. So once this happens, you can see we're just rotating kicks on Star. He doesn't ever cast the heal again. He actually probably does, like, super late. I think only once or twice have I ever seen him, after the first guy dies, cast a heal. But again, if he does, just make sure you get that one. But we're just kicking any of the bolts that come out and moving away. One of the things when when all 3 bosses are up that you can kind of watch for is sometimes I will, as a monk, throw out some Vivifies, just if I see someone, like, if the healer's like really struggling to catch up, because generally as a monk, our stagger works even though we're casting. So it is sometimes safe, as long as you're not about to take a big tank hit, to off heal when it's needed. So don't be afraid to do that, especially on this boss. So once that boss is dead, we're going to come up here. We're actually going to skip the next several pieces of trash. All that you need to do is come up around, hug this ledge, and then jump over here, something that I'm going to fail at right here because I'm a white guy who can't jump, apparently. Just kidding. But yeah, you just jump over this, and then we're going to pull this next pack. This next pack is actually deceivingly hits pretty hard. All of these have like a special hit that you'll see them red cast here on my screen, and it fucking hits hard. So definitely be ready to use defensives. It's deceivingly does a lot of damage to you. But generally we take care of these 4. I'm pulling them really close to this building so I can drop Sanguine. And then there is a arcane mage that paths in with 2 more of those mobs. So you're going to see right here I'm getting it marked. We're going to taunt it, and then I'm going to have my range kick it in, and then my shaman's going to get the next kick just to make sure that we don't get too close to the other mobs there. Now with this one, you do want to watch because that ball does do a lot of damage that he does. So generally we have one person bait, and we just try to make sure that we're not in the line with them. And if it's someone like a hunter, they can easily move. If you have a full melee group, I've seen this wipe groups because like it just instantly goes and blows up on everyone, and it's not a good time. Now on this next pack, generally we kill the arcane guy first, and we have 2 melee kicks on the pyromancer, and then we have our range kick the frostbolt during the pyromancer's special ability. Now for whatever reason, normally when you attack these, whoever you taunt is where the other guys run to, but for some reason when I taunted the pyromancer here, it went to the frost guy, and I have no fucking idea why. I don't know if someone like tagged the frost guy in the back and they all went there first, but just make sure that you're getting the first hit on either the arcane mancer or the pyromancer so they come into you, because apparently you can't walk through that little channeling thing that the boss is doing. But again, here for the pyromancer, we like to put 2 melee kicks on it. For the arcane guy, we just put 1 on, and if the second one is going to go through, just tell that person to use a defensive. And then again, we kick the frostbolt during the fire guy's like special ability that he does. So you can see because of the weird pull that happened, our shaman died here. But I am able to keep the pull alive even though we had pyroblast going off, since we didn't have 2 melee kicks. He does get back in time, and we're able to get this going. So again, we generally kill the arcane guy first. I put my kick on there. We put 2 melee kicks on the pyromancer, and then switch to the pyromancer once the arcane guy is done. And again, just kick any ice bolts that come out during the fire special ability. And of course, make sure we're dodging the frost balls here. So like I said, luckily I was able to stay alive, and then my shaman got back since he died so early to help with interrupts, and we're able to finish off this pack. Now, ideally, with this being Tyrannical, you really want Lust with this next boss because of the fact that it does so much damage and it has a high throughput requirement. And you can see in our group, we don't have a whole lot to deal with. Like, we don't have a whole lot of damage reductions. We've got Rally, and then, you know, we've got the throughput cooldowns that the Pug Resto Druid is bringing. So we're going to go around here and just pull these 3 last mobs. This will finish up our trash. You technically only need 2 here, but I pull a 3rd just so that it doesn't pull later. And we're just going to kill this just to bring the lust timer up so that we can go on to the boss. Now, once these are dead, the boss, generally what we like to do for the first ability he does, his special ability is going to be the fire AoE. So we like to have all of our people just use a defensive on that first one. On the second ability, it's going to be fire with the frost orbs. So here it's important to have one of your range people bait away, and this is where we use rally from our warrior. Now you'll see I marked right there because a lot of these times these stupid poles will cause you to get stuck on them, and I've been stuck there one too many times. So we're pulling the boss, we're lusting, we're popping all our offensive cooldowns, and again we are just defensiving this first one, just being ready to take this damage. Now the next one that comes out again is going to be fire with frost. So you can see our hunter is in the bottom left hand corner. I marked it with green, and this one we're going to rally and we're going to avoid the fire. So you can see as soon as I see where the frost orb comes, I'm going to immediately get out of dodge so that I'm nowhere near those. There we got pretty good baits, and it ended up not hurting too much. Unfortunately, 2 of our people get frozen, so luckily I'm able to come over and res the Resto Druid, because our next thing is Ice and Arcane, which means we're going to have Ice Orbs, and we're going to get the pull from the Arcane. So, Hunter baited super far away, get out of the Frost, and then you get pulled, and our Resto Druid's going to come up now. He's going to res our warrior, and now we're back now into fire, and this one is arcane, so we're going to fire and we're going to get pulled. So here we try to use more defensives again. If they're back up, you can see our shaman is running in ghost wolf form so that he gets the defensive, and then unfortunately our hunter died. But the next one is going to be fire and ice. So here again, this is where we tell people to use like a health pot or an extra defensive if you have it, and we're going to again instantly move out of the frost. Like, just try to live, move out of the frost ball so that you don't get frozen. You can see I got stuck there on a fucking pole, and it was not fun. Shaman dies, but he's gonna onk. Now, next one's safe again because we do have fire. We have got frost and arcanes. The big thing here is just moving out and making sure we're not getting pulled towards where our hunter is. Unfortunately, the druid wasn't with us, so he moved over there. But we got 2 good baits because of it, because they baited both the ice things over there, and so the rest of us could just kind of DPS. Now again, this is where things start to get pretty messy, because we're about to get another fire and pool, and we're kind of low on defensives, right? So another defensive one here. Whatever you can do to stay alive. You can see as a tank, this isn't too bad. Even though this is a lot of spell damage, you can see I'm taking kind of big hits, but I'm able to just kind of keep myself up by using Expel Harm, and anytime the fire stuff's coming out, I'm either using Cell Brew, or I'm using Diffuse, or I'm using Dampen Harm. We've got lots of cooldowns as a monk, so as long as you're rotating Cell Brew and then one of your other ones, you're generally good to go. And we are able to finish this off. We do get another death. We've used all of our reses, but that's okay, because the next boss isn't bad at all. It can go bad if you don't know what you're doing, but it's not bad. So, gonna get them rezzed. We're gonna go through. Apparently, warriors can leap over this wall, and then if you've got like a 2 or 3 seater mount, you can jump through. As you can see here, we didn't know he was gonna do this, and it didn't end up being faster for us. But the big thing here is just make sure you guys all run through the portal at the same time, because as soon as one person goes through this portal, the boss activates. I generally tell melee to not be anywhere near the boss when it pulls, because I've had a couple times where when our melee are too close, it'll just turn and hit them as the first hit, even though I'm spinning crane kicking and spamming taunt. So just have melee stay away, and I just generally point him off this edge next to this purple hut over here. So with this one, he does take increased damage during this. You just want to move out of the frontals for these blows that are coming, and just kind of like, do your damage. Now, I pop everything here, except for I'm going to have my Touch of Death coming back up. So, when these frontals come out, they are doing AoE damage, right? When this flower comes out, this extra mob, the frontal that he does even more AoE damage. So when this happens, we have our shaman use his Stone Skin Totem to give us extra defensive. And one of the things you want to really be careful of is this mob, the extra plant guy. If you get too far away from him, or if like one of these mages does too much damage to him somehow, he will swap, and then he can he does do a frontal, and so it'll hit the players around you. So as I am dodging the frontal that the main boss does, I always taunt that mob even if it's still on me. That way I just have 3 seconds of making sure that the mob is still hitting me, and then I go back and finish it off. But you can see here, I Touch of Death the first ad there. And on the second one, I am going to save my Exploding Keg for it. Now, you'll notice I don't actually really need to use any defensives on this stuff. I probably could just to help with damage, but you can see even there I took like 10% damage without anything. So here as it spawns, I'm going to taunt, and now I'm going to set up my ramp and do my Exploding Keg and do my rotation there to get a big burst of damage, because this guy is what makes you take more damage. So, again, Touch of Death the first one, Exploding Keg the second, and generally, once you get the Exploding Keg on the second one, it generally will be up again for the third one, just because of the timing of this, and then you're generally pretty good. The fourth one is where it gets a little hard, but if you used pots on the mage boss, the fourth one works out nice because then you can pot. But again, you can see this fight is actually just super repetitive. If you do miss stomping on any flowers, we have pre-designed that, you know, I'm getting the ones that are in front right over here. The shaman's getting the one that's over by the purple hut. Our warrior goes straight back, and then our hunter gets the one towards where this plant is spawning right now. And that generally covers this up pretty good. But if you do have any of the extra little plants come up, just be ready to kick them or stun them. Don't let their cast go off. And just make sure you get a taunt on them. So here you can see I got both Exploding Keg and Touch of Death in there. I probably could have saved Touch of Death for the last one, but I knew that I had pots coming up here, so I was going to have some extra stuff going. So, as long as you do have a defensive for these, again, us, because we have our Enhanced Shaman, we have him doing Stone Skin Totem every time that extra plant ad is out, so that when the AoE comes, we don't take massive amount of damage. But if you don't have that, you do want to have people in your group be rotating defensives, preferably defensives, because healing throughput doesn't really save you through a one-shot. So things like Rally, things like Aura Mastery, you know, any things like that, or, you know, defensives. So you can just kind of help out that way. But that's pretty much it for it. So if you have any questions about this, please feel free to hit me up in the comments. Please make sure to subscribe and leave a like. And like I said, if you have any questions, just hit me up and I'd be more than happy to answer them. But thanks for checking it out, and I will see you guys in the next one.